Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Mad Capper, and this is another video on Raid Shadow Legends. As part of the 4-year anniversary, the content creators were tasked, challenged with looking over our very first video in Raid Shadow Legends as a content creator and talking about what we did and how we got into content creation. And so here we will do mine. And before we get into that, I just want to take note of the busy screen that is, right? You see there's clan versus clan, there's tournaments, events, there's shiny, glowing, moving, there's energy, there's shards. You'll see that thing flipping all over the time. Altar Souls, Forge, Guardian Ring, the boosted summons is going on. There's a whole bunch going on. Although I still have no resources because that's how I roll. Now let's take a look at the very first video. Let's see. Let's bring this up. First off, I wanted to bring it to this screen first because look at that next level top tier thumbnail, everyone. Can we just appreciate the level of beauty that 43 million damage key thumbnail with Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss I can't read by Mad Capper. I used to put Mad Capper Presents at the bottom of everyone. You can't even read anything along the bottom line, but I did it every time. And then this like I'm an art student in grade 4. Beautiful thumbnail, beautiful thumbnail. And then I don't think I doxed myself here. No, we're good. You can see a 2-key Ultra Nightmare. And then you can see Occult Brawler, Lightsworn, Nick, Rosh Card, and you see that I mentioned this the speed, the runs, because there was no counter. I'll show you in a bit. So let's click on this one, the very first one. I was ready to talk. Unkillable Raid Shadow Legends UNM. 7.5k views 3 years ago. 2-key Unkillable. It's a 17-minute run on Play and Play. December 10th, 2019. You can see the speeds there. Beautiful. But let's go up and watch it here. Okay, before we get into watching it, let me explain why I made this. You see, back in the day, there was a group of people that were gating the knowledge of Unkillable. They weren't sharing it. They weren't willing to let other people know. The reason, and I can't tell you why people do what they do in their heads. The reason, as I surmise it, is that because a lot of clans were clan hopping. A lot of the top elite clans were clan hopping. That was a process by which say 10 of you who had Unkillable comps would go in, make a new clan, make sure to step up. Originally, they made the clans. So 10 clans, you'd have to go in behind so that you had Ultra Nightmare unlocked. Then you would just keep a dummy in there, a level 1, whatever, alt account, just to keep that pseudo clan alive. Let's call it GNL2. Not that I'm saying anything. And then one person would be there. It would probably be like GNL, UNM1. We'll call it that. And then 10 of the groups would go in there, they'd kill the boss, you'd get the rewards as soon as you killed the boss, and you couldn't overkill the boss. Those are the 2 key attributes to this whole system. So you kill the boss, you get the top reward, then you'd go to UNM2 clan, and you'd go in and you kill it, and you get the treasure, and you'd keep doing that as much as you wanted to. Remember, keys were limited but purchasable at 150 gems per. So if you want to do 10 bosses, 20 chests a day, all you had to do past your first, and you had to do it right away. So I'm guessing you do your first 2 keys. After that, I know you can generate up to 4 a day, but really you would just buy the other 8 keys. Or 16 keys, or however many keys it took, because honestly, a few thousand gems a day was a paltry figure in cost as compared to how much you would make in resources getting the top Ultra Nightmare chest. Even at the lowered rates that it was back in the day, you would get the resources were obscene. The amount of extra resources that they got are obscene, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. That was the biggest, most deciding breakdown of Raid Shadow Legends. All the other cheating, the boost gate with the arena, who cares? The 3v3 at the beginning that had a big controversy, who cares? Draco gate, whatever. Compared to clan hopping, all those did nothing to the game. Clan hopping actually broke the game. Now, fortunately or unfortunately, the reality is that people with money already break the game, so you can't compete at their level. So it's really irrelevant at this point. But at the time, I think it was a big deal, and they did finally fix it. The reason why I'm bringing that up is that's why I made this video, because I had an unkillable comp and I wanted to let everyone else know what that unkillable comp was. People would ask me how you do the unkillable comp, and I didn't want to gate it. I didn't want to hide it. I wanted to tell people. And I also want to let you know, I don't know if I've ever said this in a video. I'm pretty sure I have. But I'm outing him. Murder Inc. actually helped me develop this. I don't know if he knew I was going to do a video on it. I told him. I don't know if he even remembers that, but he did actually help me with the speeds to get it right for this particular comp so that we could use it. And I put out, and within a few months, the clan hopping was fixed, and they put limits on the boss, and they then eventually nerfed unkillable, or at least they tried to nerf it. I guess they put it at a 50 key max. But on the bright side is that fixed a major loophole in resource that not everyone could do, and that was kind of the original pay to win cheat. It eliminated that, so that now it's still not going on. And it brought out things like Deadwood Jedi having the calculator. I remember the first calculator was on a spreadsheet, and it didn't have the exact numbers, but it was pretty close. So once in a while it would fail. You'd have to just play with the numbers, and then Deadwood calculator tuned it perfectly. God bless you, Deadwood. I love you, good friend. And then so that all happened too because of this. Now, the reason why I also tell you this is the very first, not only the very first Rosh card comp video. This is actually the very first unkillable video published on YouTube by any raid content creator that I could find. And I looked everywhere. I scoured everywhere to see.
Welcome everyone. I am Mad Capper, and this will be my very first Raid Shadow Legends YouTube.
No camera. Who's this noob, eh? Am I right?
YouTube video. Yesterday I was able to finally put together my Immortal comp for the Ultra Nightmare clan boss. I've had a lot of people in my clan and a lot of people in the streams that I visit asking me, how did I do it? What champions did I use? What's the gear? What's the speeds? So rather than trying to...
By the way, I was actually in Sacred Order at the time. I think you see that later. One of Chofly's subclans. At the time, Chofly, there was the elite, and then there was the rest. And because only elites were hitting Ultra Nightmare at the time and killing it, I actually got promoted too. So this is about 2 weeks before I got promoted into elites, and I've been there ever since.
To explain it to everyone over and over again, I thought I'd make a video, post it on YouTube for everyone to share. Before I let you go, don't forget, if you do like the video, give me a thumbs up. And if you want to subscribe, if I get enough subscribers, I might continue doing content for questions that no one seems to answer, but I might be able to help you out with.
Look at that. Questions nobody wants to answer, but I might be able to help you with. That is the precursor to the I Built Them series, if I've ever heard it. You see me there, 70.8 on 2. You remember back in, you couldn't overkill the clan boss. You had to stop. So that's actually a beautiful key. You wanted to, if I could get it under 71.
So I'm going to have to add a little different audio here because...
this part I'm going to skip through. I was just explaining. I have a separate Nightmare team, and one of the things is I didn't want to break this Nightmare team when I put out my unkillable team, because we weren't, as you can see, 80%. We weren't killing Ultra Nightmare at the time. No little purple bar. So this was just kind of explaining all that. Then I want to go through this a bit.
For the awful, and I mean awful editing I'm going to have on this one. I did a full...
That hasn't changed. Awful editing. That's my signature at this point.
Full one take try.
Look at this Sir Nick, first off. 58,000 HP total. But 130, 140 crit damage, not even crit capped. But and slow. Like, I should have been able to crit cap. I didn't even max out my gear at this point. I'll show you some of the we'll show you some of the others just to show you the crazies. Like, there he is. There's Sir Nick's numbers. And the key is you couldn't have Sir Nick fully booked. He had to have a 4-turn cooldown on his A2, because you couldn't change ability. You couldn't just lock out A2 like you can now. Back in, you had to, if it was a 3-turn Sir Nick, he would ruin it for you, and he would prioritize his A2, and it would break the comp. Next one we have is Rosh card. You can see I don't even have him fully ascended yet, which is absolutely awesome and embarrassing at the same time. There's his numbers. Like, his attack is just atrocious. And I don't know why I needed that many health points. I could have just locked out his... Well, I can't lock out his A2, but his A2 hits less than his A1. I should have just used his A1, which is attack base. Let's see, who else do we have? Oh, I talked about having that War Master, Occult Brawler. He was the hero. Still in lifesteal because he's the same one that I was using on my Nightmare. Again, his helmet's not even fully maxed. A 4-star, 4-star. You see that beauty there. I mean, I only started July 21st in the game, and this is December 19th. So I was pretty low spend. I would almost argue I was near free to play. I was very, very low spend at the time. So and funny, I have in this video, I have 2 cold hearts. I fed my first cold heart to level my Elaine. So I'm thinking it took me until I must have just made those in December because it took me like a good 3 or 4 months to get a cold heart back.
That puts us all
I
together.
was lucky though. Tyrell was my first epic. So I had Tyrell and Apothecary really quickly. And back then, Tyrell was better than most legendaries.
Or more ability to switch him.
You don't need to hear me anymore, but just looking at this gear just makes me giggle. I was thinking of an easier time. Like, remember this? Oh god. You notice how there's no double up and down, and you couldn't. The sorting feature was. I think they had have they done the? No, they hadn't even done the where you could have the upgraded sorting stat thing. That wasn't around yet. Let's see who's the next champ. Doom Priest. Who that Doom Priest? Probably my best built champion. Not quite 3K defense and 40K health. Beautiful Doom Priest, one of the greatest champions. Epic, still one of the great Epic champions. And you see there now we're actually gonna run one. Now, just for nostalgia's sake, for those of you who've built some of these old teams, I'm gonna play out the very beginning because the first 4 turns you had a manual, or else it would break.
And maybe some alternate things you can do to make it work for you. One thing to keep in mind is that it is very important. The first 4 turns here are very important. I'm going to show you what happens. So we're going to attack. I use his A2 here. It doesn't really matter. Just make sure you just attack. Same with Rosh. You can use his A1, A2 here.
Like, why was that a good idea? In my head, I was just attack. Put on that decreased attack. I guess because in your until turn 5 you're not in sync. But like a decreased attack is only going to take up space. But here's the thing: you couldn't lock out a skill. So his decreased attack, the only thing I could have done was I should have had him for no accuracy. But you had to use these champions. They weren't just a clan boss team; they were used everywhere. So
here, just attack with it, and then we're going to put up the unkillable. That's to start the turn meter rolling on each of these. Start the cooldowns. Look, now you've got your Doom Priest.
Also, Doom Priest would only cleanse the last debuff placed. It wasn't true random, and they fixed that, and that broke this comp. I was no longer using this comp. I was actually using Rosh card with Skull Crusher in a 4/3 Rosh card, I believe it was, so he could do 2 turns of block, and then Skull Crusher would tank the stun. Very effective in most cases, but the problem is when they fixed Doom Priest, she couldn't cleanse properly, and sometimes Occult Brawler would still have the speed debuff on him, and that broke this whole thing down because, again, when you knew the speed debuff was coming on and she was always cleansing the last one, but I do remember that being a little bit of
starting her debuff or her debuff
was
removal.
An Ultra Nightmare.
Put up the attack. That gives us a little extra hit. Good on us. There's the poison.
Also, you had to watch. Now, with Doom Priest, it wasn't a big deal, but Occult Brawler, if you put I think 4 poisons on him, or it was either 4 poisons and then the debuff was put on, that would give him 5. He would get an extra turn, and that would also break unkillable. But because I was using it with the Doom Priest comp, she's always cleansing one off, so it was never a big deal.
Poison. Again, all he's going to do is attack. You're going to see Light Sworn, unkillable off. Poisoner again, he's going to hit. Note that he never gets 5, so he never takes that extra.
Okay, so keep in mind, round 1 of 1, there's no count on how much damage. There's no number of turns. None of that. You had to pay attention.
Turn that his A2 uses.
You couldn't
now we got to put up
in any
the revive on death. That's very important. You don't see it now, but you.
So what would happen in later stage of this? Maybe we'll see
definitely see it. Now we can put it on auto and we can let it go. So some alternates.
There you go. Turn 5, which you do not know if it's turn 5. So if you run down here, you'll see what'll happen.
His revive
down here.
So this, I'm winding down at.
Now watch this one here. All right, let's go back and see it. But Sir Nick actually gets stunned and killed, and then he uses the revive on death. That's how this works. Anyway, and then you see the final key. I wound it down, by the way. Usually the first key I would let go as far as I could. Again, you have to guess because you didn't know how many turns you took. You had no idea. It was around 23 minutes or 24 minutes. And based on how much I got there, I kind of had an idea of how much damage I could do per minute. And so that's when we would stop it. And you can see the second one we do 833 million.
803.83.
Right. And you see Cult Brawler 23 million, just crushing it in a 1-to-1. I'm telling you, man, Cult Brawler. The thing about Cult Brawler, he got power crept because 2-to-1, 3-to-1 ratios can depend on damage. Because your high end nukers are taking multiple shots. Well, there's only so many debuffs you're allowed on, and the Cult Brawler was nearly capping them himself. So him going 2 and 3 and 4 times, well, not 5, but like 2 or 3 times to the boss doesn't really help because you're getting to the point where you're capped. And at some points it would get to the point where you weren't even putting up anything else. Now you can see this comp doesn't have defense down weaken. This was all about that poison. You see everyone else 3.2, 2.5, 2.7, 1.5. That's what made the Rosh card comp so strong because you could have 2 damage dealers, and I would use Draco. I used 2 occult brawlers, and then I switched when I pulled Draco. Draco went in there. Anyway, that's the video. That's all of it. That was me in my glory. No video. 7.5 million people. It went like this. It went so high. I was like, oh, I'm gonna be famous. And then as soon as all the other stuff came out, the man-eater comps, all the rest, and then, but I still did this, and here I am. Many over 3 years later, and we're still doing this. So thank you guys for your support over the last 3 years and a little bit, and I appreciate you. I hope you enjoy the video, and as always, I know I said in the last video you were gonna get a video about Ethos. We'll do that one tomorrow. We're gonna do this one today. Thanks. Please be kind, be safe, and we'll see you in the next one.